Get ready. Something big is happening on November 7th, 2020, and you don't want to miss it. The Southeastern Conference Women's Ministries Department is celebrating its 30th anniversary. The theme is 30 years of excellent service. The best is yet to come. And the keynote speaker for this grand occasion is none other than Chaplain Linda Pennick, founder of Living the Divine Purpose Ministries. Join us online for a full day of interactive programming with powerful preaching, great music, special tributes, and so much more. In the afternoon, gospel recording artist Miranda Curtis will be live in concert, followed by an anniversary reception and celebratory toast. Registration opens September 8, 2020 to receive your personalized 30th anniversary gift box while supplies last for a donation of just $30. For more details, visit www.secsda.org or www.facebook.com/secwomen. We want to share this celebration with you, so mark your calendars now.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of Book It. I am so excited to be here with you. We are again in for a treat. Dr. Jamie Calasar is in the building, and he is ready to continue to take us through his ground-breaking book that he has put out for us, and we're just so excited about it. And we want you to go to the website and get his book. Don't leave the neighbor out of the hood, reversing the miseducation of the Seventh-day Adventists. And without further ado, we're going to bring Dr. Calasar into the studio booth. Dr. Calasar, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. As you know, as I said last time, I feel better that I'm here and talking about something meaningful. You know what I'm saying? Just dialoguing with you. So yeah, man, it's good, man. It's good to be here, man.
Well, hey, listen, I'm excited to have you. We were really getting geared up, us as Seventh-day Adventists, particularly within the Black community, to really understand the dire urgency of now, to stand up for those who are the least, the last, and the left out. I tell you, we were roommates for a brief time in our seminary training, but man, I am humbled to be here in this platform with you, Dr. Calasar. I've read your work, and it is definitely transformed my life. And listen, to my viewing audience, I hope that it transforms your life as well. We're going to send you free copies of this book. If you would just go to the comment section, put in your email address. I want to send this to you right now. We don't have many left, but you can get your free copy. But if you miss it, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, go get this book. I tell you, I would even encourage a hard copy of this book. It is worth it. This is a book you must have on your shelf or in your Kindle. We also are looking forward to next week. We're going to continue on this theme and this topic. We want to talk with Dr. Christopher Thompson on Stop the Violence. And these two profound writers in our age is doing a magnificent job, and we don't want to miss out on the handiwork of God in this hour, in our presence through these men of God. Dr. Callister, when we was together last, you mentioned that charity must lead to justice. You know, there has to be an action plan. You talked about, you know, closing the gap on having health seminars, but hey, you know, build a farmers market in your community. You know, you talked about not just doing health screens, but hey, build some health clinics. You know, I would even go as far as say, hey, develop some LLCs, some medical groups, man, within the church. I think about, you know, where I started my ministry from in Nashville, you know, a plethora of medical doctors. You know, I mean, we can do something, you know, groundbreaking, particularly as Black Adventists. And so you mentioned, if you would just reiterate this, I'm going to show it up. This is what you said in our last session. You said Nehemiah represent those who don't live in the community and go back to restore it and rebuild it. And Jesus represents those who are from the community and stay to rebuild. Pick up on our thought from last session in this regard, man, and talk to us today.
Yeah, so thank you, man. So what I wanted to do was in that book to give 2 case studies of examples from scripture of people who rebuilt their community through social justice. And so I use Nehemiah because Nehemiah to me represents many of the people that go to our churches. They are commuter churches. They don't live in the community, but they live somewhere else and they work somewhere else. So when you read the story of Nehemiah, Nehemiah says something that's really powerful. He says, when he finds out that the walls have been destroyed, he says, I must go back to the place where my ancestors' bones are buried. And so here Nehemiah is like, look, even though I don't live there right now, I'm still connected to those people. And I still need to do something because those are my people. Those are my community. And so he leaves the palace to go down to the community to restore and rebuild the walls. And then when you look at Jesus, the Bible says, that he's from Nazareth, and then he goes into Nazareth, the place that he was brought up. And his first sermon, his inauguration, his campaign is a message of social justice. That's all it is, a message of social justice on the Sabbath day. So he is from that neighborhood and he uses his privilege and his platform to do social justice. So we could talk a little bit more about that if you have more questions about that.
Yeah. So let's go to Nehemiah. In your book, you said, according to the Andrews University Study Bible, social action is another important theological topic in Nehemiah. So Nehemiah is this case study, and it says Nehemiah 5 reminds us that social justice cannot be separate from religious form. So you're using this biblical character, this story, to encourage the church about why it's important to take up social justice.
Yeah, because what happens in our churches most of them are commuter churches, and we have Black people who have climbed the ladder of success. And what happens is they drive in and then they drive out. So they really don't know what's happening in that neighborhood. They really don't know what's happening to the schools. They really don't know what's going on the daily affairs. The same thing with Nehemiah. Well, he has climbed the ladder of success. He is in the king's palace, but he hears news about what happened and the walls are destroyed. And so he says, wait a minute, I just can't sit back here in the palace and be okay with that. And I think that's what I want our churches to understand, is that even if you don't live in the community, you can't be okay with the suffering that's happening in the community where your church resides.
My. This is what you said in your quoted scripture. Now I had never been sad in the presence of the king before. This is Nehemiah 2:1-5. So the king said to me, why is your face sad? Since you are not sick, this can only be sadness of the heart. Then I was very much afraid. So he was afraid because he didn't want to be sad in the presence of a king. His job was to make the king feel good, right? And he said, I said to the king, may the king live forever. Why should my face not be sad? He's saying, why shouldn't I not be upset? He says,
Right.
when the city, the place of my ancestors' grave lies, and its graves have been destroyed by fire. So, I mean, this deep-seated, just unsettled.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the palace. He's in the palace. But in your book, you said he forwent the palace for pandemonium. Talk about that pandemonium that we drive by every day.
Yeah, man. He gave up the palace and privilege for pandemonium to go down there. And I think that's what we need within our churches, for our members to develop a lament, a holy sadness for their communities that their churches are in, to feel saddened to the point where they want to rebuild houses, to the point where they want to pave the streets, to the point where they want to put new roofs on top of the individuals' homes. That's what we need. We don't need a feeling of privilege where we look down on those people that are in our community, where we say, oh, they're poor because they want to be poor, because they don't want to do better. That's why they no. Nehemiah did not blame the children of Israel for the fires being burnt down. He felt compassion, and here's what's important.
Hold on. So you telling me that our people aren't responsible wholly for the situation they find themselves in? Because when I listen to certain political parties, forgive me, that's what I hear.
Yeah, no. There are systems created in America to keep poor people poor. There's years of piling on policy on top of policy that allows, when you look at housing policy, that allows factories to be built in communities where there are houses. And that's not going to drive up your property value. No. That's actually going to make you sick from all the toxic fumes. Black people didn't create that policy for themselves. Somebody made that for them. And so you have these years of trickle down policies that are stacked on it that causes those kind of conditions, that causes that ghettos are not just made, they are created. And so Nehemiah is like, nah, my folk ain't gonna live like this. And here's what's important is that Nehemiah has privilege. He has access to the king. There are people in our congregations, Black people in our congregations, that have access to resources that they can use in impoverished communities.
Wow. You said, so he had access to the king. There's some things that certain folk ain't got access to.
That's right.
That Nehemiah had. This is what you said. You said the Old Testament text is used because of Nehemiah's concern for his brothers and sisters back in Jerusalem. He is the king. He is in the king's palace working as a cupbearer, but yet the news of the destruction of the walls has propelled him to help those in need. And I want to just speak to the audience right here, right? That whatever platform you have, whatever privilege that you have, whatever resource that God has given you, that God is calling us, that we go and use it to help somebody else. And I believe there's a supernatural outflow. I believe there's a supernatural break free. I believe that there's an anointing on our lives, on your life, to do this very work. And just as rivers flow through channels and the banks of those beds are flourished and nourished and green, so your life is going to be green as long as you are committed to be an agent of change. I believe that, Dr. Callisa, and I just believe that we have to be propelled like Nehemiah to go and help those that are in need.
That's right. That's right. Use and that's important for our students at Oakwood and our students at our institutions. They don't need to just learn how to make money for themselves or how to get a job that only helps them. They need to know and understand how is whatever your major you are doing, how are you going to use that to benefit your people, your community at large? And I think sometimes we get so caught up in being trained on how to move out of the hood or how to move away from the hood. And that's okay. You can live wherever you want to live, but don't forget where you came from, and don't forget that you got to where you are because somebody left the door open for you. Now you got to leave the door open for somebody else to get inside as well. And I think that's what's missing from our training, from our teaching, from our education, is about how do I, as a doctor, give back to where I'm from? How do I, as a chef or whatever it is, not just pastor, anybody who is being taught or educated, how do I take what I've learned, my privilege, and give it back to those that don't have the same privileges?
I mean, you said it best. You said it best. You said Nehemiah was not a politician. And I think that's one of the challenges. We're just afraid. We don't want to get into politics. But he knew he had influence. He knew he had influence. And I just feel like as Adventists, we may not know quite yet how to use our influence.
Yeah. And we probably won't have time to go into it, but towards the end of the book, I actually put like a training manual for individuals and churches that want to know how to use the power that's already given to them so that they can change their communities.
With that said, Dr. Callisa, here's my time to give a plug. You manual on how you can translate your influence. Please right now go to Amazon.com. Don't leave the neighbor out of the hood. Dr. Jamie Callisa, please go now. That's KOWLESSAR, the doc, and get that book so that you can have this training manual. You heard it. He put together, I'm telling you, this is a groundbreaking book. You want to make the investment. Even if I've sent you the Kindle version already, I'm telling you, you want the hard copy of this book. And so you said of Nehemiah, we're going to move forward. You said he had, and you broke down this. You said the word sad, it can be meant to be troubled, miserable, distress, pertaining to an attitude of emotion. And so this is something that the church is needing to develop. You said Nehemiah finds himself without rest, because of the weight he carries deep down inside. However, the concerns that Nehemiah carries for the people is now evident. It's evident on his face. His words were, "Why should not my face be sad when the city, the place of my father's tombs, right, are burned?" And so right now I want you to talk about city walls. So Nehemiah is sad, in your book and in the Bible, because the walls are down. So the walls are down, and I want you to talk about the significance of walls. And how can we, create walls in our Black community so that our people can be safe?
Yeah. So when you don't have walls, you don't have security. And if you don't have security, then it leaves it open to anybody to come in and to do whatever they want to do with you. So we contemporize that to today, that if there are no walls within our Black communities, we see gentrification happening. We see the violence happening. We see all of the ills that plague Black and brown people because they don't have these walls, these systems of infrastructure set up to protect them from whomever outside wants to harm or threaten them. And so we need to understand the importance of that. We see in that text with Nehemiah. Nehemiah understands, man, if these walls are not rebuilt, then there is a possibility that these people will never be restored, that these people will be lost forever. And so Nehemiah is like, no, we got to make sure that we have our boundaries set up, protection set up, investment in our community, to make sure that and to ensure that they live a life and have a life more abundantly. And so that's why it's important to contemporize and to bring these texts into what they mean today. The walls in our communities have been broken down. The walls of justice, the walls of job opportunities, education opportunities have been broken down, and we need to restore and rebuild the infrastructure so that they can live.
I mean, school, right? I think in your book, or recently in an article I was reading, I can't remember which one, but it talked about, schools not having adequate books, schools not having, good teachers, schools not having good buildings. These are all walls falling down. New school gets built in community, and then all of a sudden it becomes a charter school. You don't have access to it anymore based on your zip code, geological, location. So you got this
Yeah.
pretty school, you can go, this down the street, but you can't get in it.
Right.
These are examples of walls being torn down. And the hard reality is, you said Nehemiah had to go and rebuild. So he was sad because he needed to leave the king's presence to rebuild it. And you said this is synonymous with restore, establish, develop buildings. Each of these words is synonymous and embodies, describe work. Dr. Callister, we don't want to work.
Right. Work or put the investment, the money into doing this. And so I use that also, to say we don't always have to build churches, Pastor Java. We don't have to plant churches all the time. We can plant, as you said, clinics. We can plant supermarkets. We can plant dental offices. We need to expand how we think about evangelism and what we do. And also, even the greatest tool of evangelism is our schools. And we cannot continue to depend on a local church to be able to fund a school. It needs all of the support because the local church doesn't have enough money to compete with the charter school that's come. So you got the charter school, like you said, charter school come into the neighborhood. Charter schools only giving access to a certain amount of kids. Well, what about if we had our schools that offer free education, subsidized education? The money is there. We can do it. We just have to want to do it. That uses evangelism in that way. And then we bring people into it. So we need to reshape and rethink about the plan that we have right now. And going back to the original, we need a strategic plan for Black people.
I love what you just said because one, we think evangelism is just doing the Bible studies, right? You mentioned that in your book. There are other real ways, tangible ways to do evangelism. I mean, it challenged me as publishing director because, for so long, I felt my duty was fulfilled in distributing literature. And I'll rest in my grave on that, but I realized it's not complete. There's more that needs to be done. It's a supplement. It's not the end all be all. We need a total church effort. And schools is an example of how we can invest and build infrastructure because there at the school is the crossroad for the entire community. I don't know who this is blessing, but I pray that your mind is stirred. So Nehemiah was one of the examples that propels us, right? To really engage and do the work of social justice. But there's somebody else. I think his name, Dr. Callister, is Jesus. Right. This is what Jesus says in regards to this whole social justice issue. It says the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, right? Because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, recover sight of the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed. I mean, Jesus is a real good reason why we should be involved in our community. And you said it. You said it that here. You said Nehemiah represents, right? Nehemiah represents those who don't live in the community and go back, but go back to restore and rebuild. But Jesus represents those who are from the community and who stay and rebuild it. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Please just break that down, that whole idea and construct. It's a lot in it.
Yeah. So, and there's a part that I want us to pay attention to that comes right before that. And when you read that text, it says he stands up in the temple and reads, right? So let's just break that part down. Jesus is from Nazareth. What did Nathaniel say? Can anything good come from Nazareth? So he's from the hood, as we know this, right? And the reason why a lot of people from Nazareth weren't aristocrats. They were poor people. They picked up trades like carpentry and blacksmith and things like that. So when it says Jesus stands up to read, it's powerful because a lot of people from Nazareth weren't educated like where the scribes and Pharisees come from. So here is somebody who is from the hood, and he is able to stand up to read. Not only does he read, it's what he reads on that day. So I have somebody who looks like me from my community. He is standing up and reading. And, I don't want to harp on the education thing, but this is why education is so important. I believe that Christian education, Adventist education should be free. Now, I know it's going to take a lot of investment to do that, but we can't make good education a commodity. And what do I mean by that is that it's only accessible to the privileged. It needs to be accessible to everyone, not just some people. And so here is Jesus, because truth be told, let's break this down. If Jesus were alive today, he could not go to one of our Adventist schools because he would not be able to pay the tuition because he's from Nazareth, the hood. So we make education a thing of privilege. Who can pay for it to get the best thing? Churches need to be countercultural and to flip that and to find a way to subsidize it so that the children from the Nazareths can get an education so that they could stand up and read in their communities messages of social justice, empowerment, and liberation.
I mean, Doc, when I read that in your book, I almost threw it because you run right past it. He stood up and read. I mean, he wasn't supposed to read. 1800s, blacks weren't supposed to read, right? It was that type of I read, but he expounded to the point to profound those who were the teachers.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he came in as a liberator, and his very example was liberation. Yeah, I need somebody to get this right now. I mean, Jesus is our example of being called to be a liberator of our very own people. I mean, he did not run from it. I mean, he embraced it. And this is just groundbreaking. Something else, because y'all time is getting away. You talked about as Adventists, us not being so focused on eschatology and Jesus coming to fix our problems while we ignore our problems that he's given us the power to fix.
Yeah.
And while we're waiting, right?
Right.
And you talked about how not only did he read, but it was on the Sabbath. And the fact that it was on the Sabbath taps into the essence of what the Sabbath is, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that the Sabbath was supposed to be a symbol of liberation. And here's what you said. You said the observance of the Sabbath day as a commemoration of their deliverance from Egypt bondage, was well as a reminder of Jehovah as the creator of the world. Visiting the synagogue on the Sabbath day was not contrary to any system that the Jews upheld. The problem is that the Sabbath became perverted and legalistic among the Jews. Mm-hmm. Then you said the Sabbath is a practical divestment so that neighborly, here it is. If you don't get anything else I say in these last few moments, here's what the doc says. It's a neighborly engagement rather than production consumption that defines our lives. We're busy, but the pandemic has slowed us down where we can begin to auto-correct the true essence of the Sabbath, right, Doc? It says Jesus understands the true meaning of the Sabbath. It is a day that God used for liberation of the oppressed. Come here, Al Sharpton. Come here, Jesse Jackson. These brothers have been, doing the work of the Sabbath. No, talk about how we as Adventists can take this back.
Yeah, man. And so we take this back when we understand what the Sabbath was created for. You go back to Deuteronomy, God says, I gave you the Sabbath. Remember the Sabbath day. Why? Because you were once slaves in Egypt. Yes. So in other words, it's a reminder of your slavery. Now, don't just rest, but also liberate other people as well, because I brought you out of that. And Jesus embodies that. He embodies that by reading that particular passage from Isaiah on the Sabbath day was Jesus basically saying, this is the Jubilee. And I think in our teaching of the Sabbath, we left out that part. The only part that we teach people is just, rest, don't do no work. Yeah, no, you rest from doing your mundane everyday work, but now you do the work of liberation. That's what the Sabbath is for.
This is what Jesus read. Is this not the fast I've chosen, to loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, to bring the hopeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, cover them, and not hide yourself from your own skin? Right? It says in the verse 13, God tells Isaiah to inform the Israelites not to use the Sabbath for their own personal gain or advancement. The works of Jesus always involve delivering whoever will from the bondage and establishing them with their rightful place in society. Yeah. I mean, Doc, this is the true essence. This is how we regain, this conversation about the Sabbath.
Yeah. And, as Seventh-day Adventists, man, I mean, the Sabbath is in our name. And you can imagine how evangelistic we would be to our community if we spent more time on the Sabbath engaging in liberation work than trying to figure out how we're going to put together a program and figure out how we're going, how we going to outline this bulletin and all that other stuff. But if we use our minds to think about, okay, there is an issue, as you said, find something and address that, man, we'll have the church will be full. And I can testify, City Temple, we were able to bring in a whole new group of young adults and millennials because of the social justice and community work that we do at that church. So people who think that, social justice, I'm gonna lose members, you actually do the opposite. You're gonna gain people, and people will want to follow after, because that's what this generation is seeking. They're seeking for a real, tangible faith that can change things in front of their faces right now.
This is our moment, Dr. Callister. Our time is gone. We're in overtime. I've got to make sure this message gets across before we leave. Don't go anywhere. Listen, you said, since we live in a world of inequality, the Sabbath then becomes a reminder that reminder that this is not as God intended. That's what the Sabbath is. You also said, we may suggest that the acceptable year of the Lord that Jesus proclaimed, or the year of the Lord's favor that Jesus proclaimed as the coming of God's reign, was no longer strictly 1 year in 7 or 1 in 50, but a new age of perpetual liberty. The Sabbath, church family, the word is saying, is a perpetual year of liberty of all God's people from every kind of oppression. So right now, when we celebrate the Sabbath, it's a new era. Like, Jesus has ushered in a new era of liberation, and we have to make that era of liberation manifest. He says he makes the Sabbath a sign of liberation and independence. It's a year of jubilee, friends. Jesus, stands as one who is from the impoverished community. Instead of leaving the community to do work elsewhere, he circles back to Nazareth, come on somebody, to announce his earthly work. We're wrapping up. The Sabbath does not happen at the end of a week only, but it transpires in our deep awareness of God's presence in trouble. So in other words, Dr. Callister, you're saying that God is calling us to usher in Sabbath, a perpetual Sabbath in our community where peace reigns. You said it, where shalom reigns. The concept of shalom is a universal idea that speaks to the community, and that Christians ought to seek the prosperity and peace of our neighbors. This is how we put the neighbor back in the hood. When we are focused on the liberation of our people, we circle back like Jesus did, and we make sure we re-erect and rebuild and restore the walls. Give us, Doc, I'm sorry we're out of our time, a final word to our listening audience about how we can put the neighbor back in the hood. Doc, it's on you.
Yeah, thank you, man. So if there's anything that I can say is let's take the title of the book. Let's not leave the neighbor out of the hood, and remember our responsibility to our people, because when we liberate them, we actually liberate ourselves as well. And so what I would dying desire to see for all our members, all our pastors, is that deep down sadness that Nehemiah had, that when we drive to our churches, that we can't be comfortable with driving past payday loan advance shops. We can't be comfortable with driving past, fast food restaurants and all the stuff that's there to kill Black people, the drugs in our community, all that kind of violence. We need to get to a place where we can't sleep at night, but that we can use our collective power to change our communities. I'll say this final word. We need to understand that we're not waiting for a hero. We are the heroes. And once we start taking that as our mantra and going forward, then we'll change things. I'm actually excited to see the amount of people that are involved in our church, involved in social justice, and that the message is become something that's a part of us. But we can't stop now. We got to keep on going, and let's do for what we need to do for our people. So thank you for this opportunity, Pastor Jay. Love what you're doing with the publishing directorship, man. You took the one at SCC to the next level, and I know you're going to take this one at SEC to the next level as well, man. You are a gift to humanity. And also, if anybody wants to buy the book in bulk, I'm sure you can let me know, and you can have your churches read it. You can have your members read it. It's a great devotional as well for discussion, and I'll make it available to whoever wants to get a copy.
Real quick, raise your voice. Do you have a website that you'd like us to go to, Doc?
Yeah. So please go to raiseyourvoice.academy, and there you can read some of my articles. There you can actually see some presentations that I've done, and you can get in contact with me if you want me to come to your church and actually help train and equip your church on how to start a social justice ministry and how to make that a part of your DNA. So once again, that's raiseyourvoice.academy.
Not out of message. Thank you so much, Dr. Calisar. We appreciate your time with us. Thank you for giving us a little overtime. Don't forget, on next week, we're going to have Dr. Christopher Thompson on Stop the Violence. It's a great book. You want to book it. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless you.
Brother and sister, what a pleasure to be here again to talk about the art of making and growing money, part 2. So in the previous show, we talked about making money by living, making money by investing in the individual retirement account, and also we talked about investing in a house to live. So to talk to go back a little bit, you are making money by living when you buy a house where to live, and then you end up after 10 years having a house debt free, and now you are really living the American dream. You make more money even when you buy some rental properties that you can rent and make profit from them. There are many people that are making a living only with rental property, and that can be a goal for you. Also, you can make a lot of money when you have a retirement account that IRA traditional or IRA Roth that have a break in the taxes that you have to pay, and you can end up having millions of dollars after investing in this account for some years, maybe 10, 20, 30, or 40 years. The longer your account is the longer the amount of money that you can receive. But you always have to remember that you have a mission in this earth, and the mission is to preach the gospel and to spread the gospel, and to work with all your strength to spread the gospel, to fulfill the mission of your life, that is saving this world for Jesus Christ. So this is Pastor Gonzalez, Director of Stewardship, Plan Giving and Trust Services Director in Southeastern Conference, and also I'm hosting this program, Prospering in the Lord, so you can prosper in the Lord. The Lord wants to see you prospering in this world, not only in the world to come. There are people that are thinking only in doing well to be with Jesus, and that is the outcome of every Christian life. But also you can live a little better here if you prepare to live in that way. If you lack of wisdom, say James chapter 1 verse 5 to 8, if any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do. But you want to be stable, and you can do it if you trust really in the Lord. So we are going to show you a little bit how to invest in the stock market. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm only trying to catch your interest in this kind of thing that you can do when living, to improve your life, and also to improve the life of the people that will come in your family behind you, your sons or grandsons, and forever. There are a lot of people now living well because somebody in the past thought about these things. So how can I invest in the stock market? What is the stock market? What that means? Investing is defined as the act of committing money or capital to an endeavor with the expectation of obtaining an additional income or profit. Investing, however, also comes with the risk of loss. Investing in the stock market is the most common way for beginners to gain investment experience. Last year, I was in a meeting in November with somebody that I admire, that is John Matthews, the former North American Division Stewardship Director. And he was talking about investing. And I asked him, what happened then, because there are people losing a lot of money. And he told me, if you are afraid to lose, so don't invest, because investment always comes with risk. But that had caught my attention. Now I'm investing. And let me tell you the truth, I'm losing some money, but I'm making more money than the money that I'm losing. So if you can make more money than the money that you lose, so then there is profit, and then there is a reason to invest. Are you thinking about it? Some people think that investing is only for rich people, and that is not true. You can invest from your house, you can invest from your computer, you can invest from your phone. So it's not that complicated. Only that you have to look for a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. Let me repeat that. You can find out a financial advisor that shows you how to do it and where to go. I will show you some places that you can go in this presentation that can help you to be a good investor. And when you become rich, you want to remember me. I'm okay with that, but I'm joking. But always remember the Lord, because remember, all the wealth comes from the Lord. Investing is a way to set aside money while you are busy with life, and have that money work for you, so that you can fully reap the reward of your labor in the future. Investing is a means to a happier ending Legendary investor Warren Buffett, if you don't know about him, try to find out some books about him because he is very good in investing. So Warren Buffett said, define investing as the process of laying out money now to receive more money in the future. Stocks are bought and sold in the stock exchange. They were once a physical place full of persons shouting stock trades, but now most of it is done digitally with persons who are highly trained in computerized trading. That are the people that make the trade. You don't have to be to have that expertise in computer to can trade. Before you get started, you should answer some questions. What do you want to achieve with your investment? Short term or long term? What that means? There are stocks that are almost risk-free. There is nothing like risk-free, but you know they have shown over the year that they are profitable. There are other stocks that you can be a little more worried about that. But if you have enough time in life, for example, you are 40 years for retirement, maybe you can risk a little more, because when you risk, you can make more money, but also you can lose more money. But if you are only 25 years old, you will have enough time in life to recover from that loss. But if you are close to retirement, then you have to be very careful. Don't risk a lot, because you can lose everything in like a couple of weeks. So be awake of the position that you are, depending on your age. So let us see what continue. Are you primarily saving for retirement? When you are saving for retirement, for example, if you are 25 years old, you know that you can't take money out of your account for whatever reasons. There are some reason that you can take a little bit, but if you can take money, for example, for traveling, you can't take money out of your account until you are 59 years and a half old, or you will be fined for taking money out. Remember, that is a tax break in the money that you put in a retirement account, so the government dictates when and how you can spend the money. So if you are, for example, 58 years old, you can invest, because you know that only in 1.5 year, more year, you can take the money without any fine. But if you are younger, you have to take this in consideration. It is good to invest in a retirement account, but if you want for traveling or for whatever, then you can invest in other kind of accounts. Do you want to hire a investing company, or you want to do it on your own? You can do both. Do you want to evaluate multiple investments and agree to do that regularly, or would you rather set it and forget it? When you set it and forget it, then the cost of your financial advisor will be less. When you try to keep a monthly, for example, in multi-day visit to your financial advisor, maybe then that is going to cost you a little more. Where can I invest? You can invest in TD Ameritrade. You can invest in Interactive Broker. You can invest in E-Trade. You can invest in Wealthfront. You can invest in Environment. You can invest in Saks Trade, Robinhood, Ally Invest, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Webull, Cash App. Should be more company out there where you can invest. I'm really personally investing right now in TD Ameritrade. That for me is a very good company. It's not only a bank, but it's a trader company, and they are charging anything to me for trading, and they are you can reach them and call them, and they will answer your phone, and that is for free. I'm also investing in Cash App. Let me tell you that I'm investing only 3 months ago. Somebody came here to my house. I said, why you know investing? You know a little bit about economy? I said, yes, you can invest, but I don't know how to do it. He said, go to Catch Up. So when I have Catch Up in the app in my iPhone, he showed me it's very simple. There is also a presentation at the end of the part of investing in Cash App. It's very simple in Cash App. Have not all the number, all the explanation. That is for beginners, really. But it's easy to do it. So find out somebody that can explain you, and maybe you can do some little extra money starting. And then when you start, you will find out that you need something more professional, and then go to another bigger company like TD Ameritrade or E-Trade or Charles Schwab, company like that can help you to invest your money. Do you want to do it for yourself? Keep in mind that investing is risky. Stocks go up and come down. It is better to stay in the boat when water gets choppy. That is something that Cash App said. So what that means? That means that when you start losing some money, don't get out of the boat, because if you buy a stock high, when the stock is costing, for example, $30 per stock, not that it's actually $30 per stock, and then you see that the stock go down to 25, and then you sell it at 25, then you are losing money. So that means if you buy the stock for $30 and then you see that the stock is going down to 25, it's better to stay, to keep the stock, to see what is happening, read a little bit about the stock. You can find it in Google, you can find it in investing.com about the stock, what is happening, and if you see that there is no problem, leave it over there, because remember that a stock come down and go up, so the time will come when the stock go up, and then you can make some profit. Remember, there is 3 important words in investing. In investing, these 3 words are: be patient, and be patient. You have to be patient if you want to succeed at investing in the stock market. Invest only the money that you can afford to lose. So if you need some amount of money to pay the rent, don't put the rent money or the mortgage money in the stock market, because maybe tomorrow you can have more, but maybe tomorrow you can have less, and you will be in trouble. So invest only the money that you can't afford to lose. But no, you are not going to lose it. Really, wait a little bit. Maybe you are going to lose in some account, but then you will be making money in another account, and then at the end you will end up doing really a good profit for you and for your family. After choosing a trader company, keep track of your preferred stock for some time before to adventure to invest on them. When you can see the stock, keep a track. Maybe you have to write down how the stock is today, how it's tomorrow. Also, you can see in the stock page, you can see the figure and see how the stock is working. So when you know the stock very well and you have confidence in the stock, then it is time to invest in the stock. Remember, there are some stocks that are very volatile, but volatility in the stock can give you money fast, but can take your money faster. So be very careful. I said consider investing in SP 500. What is SP 500? That means Standard & Poor's 500, because they have the bigger 500 company in the United States. So that is called ETF, Exchange Trader Funds, and work like a mutual fund. So what happened with SP 500? SP 500 is a stock market index that measures the stock performance of the 500 large companies listed on the stock exchange in the United States. It is one of the most commonly followed equity index and may consider it to be one of the best representation of the U.S. stock market. The average annual total return and compound annual growth rate of the index, including dividends since inception in 1926, has been approximately 9.8% or 6% after inflation. Do you remember when we talking about the IRA individual retirement account, that you can have a return of 10%, and you were asking where can I get that 10% back in interest rate? So that play is SP 500, and we will see the graphic a little bit later. For example, we now have the index here, SP 500 index. I put for the last 5 years, and you will see how in the last 5 years there has come up and down in the market. Also, you can see, for example, what happened in this year, in March. The market went down almost half of the price, but then you will see that in a little more, around 6 months later, not only the SP 500 index equal the cost of the stock, but even they went up right now. Today they were up 6. Today, no, that was 3 days ago. On the 25th, they were up 6.49%, $6.49. That is a 19% increase. But if you don't have the $3,437 to buy one simple stock of this index, then you can do it in buying a spider of the same stock. You will see now that is a spider S&P 500 that costs only a tenth of the stock amount, that is 342.92. Remember, it's not exactly the 10 because the graphic was taken in different time, and the stock is completely moving away several times on the day, up and down. But for example, there is another spider of the SP 500, and that is select sector fund. What that means? This stock have many companies because it's a ETF or exchange traded fund. Among them, there is Microsoft, there is Apple, there is Amazon, and I think that Facebook among them. So the bigger company. So that is a stock that the cost is $118. Right now, that was in the 24, 118.96. Remember, the stock go up and down, but you will see that at the end of the year, you should have an increase of at least 10%. What happens instead of having an increase of 10%, you have a you are down 10%. Don't worry about it. You are a long time investment. Remember that the average is 10%. If you lose 10% a year, the next year maybe you are going to receive that 10% and 10% more extra. That is what rich people are doing, and they are making money. There is another company. This is Apple. Apple is going to split on August 31. That is 3 days from now. For example, today, that is August 28th, the market is around $500. So when they split, they are going to give you 5 stocks. If you own one stock from them right now, they are going to give you 4. So that means that the stock is going to cost only $125. So it's more accessible to everybody. So I have shown you 3 stocks that are doing very well this year in the market. The pandemic is all around. The pandemic is affecting many things, but these 3 stocks have recovered from the pandemic, and now they are giving money to the people that are investing in them. But not everything is like that. For example, let us see American Airlines. American Airlines stock, según the graphic that I have here, and that was for the last 5 years, that was in August 25th, that was 3 days ago. Said the American Airlines, the stock was costing $13.10. And we see now that since January 2018, well before the pandemic, this stock was going down. So if you are going to buy some American Airlines stock, you will have to watch carefully. Maybe it's something that you can do when they are well down, then you can buy, and when they go up, then you can sell it. But you have to give a follow up, because according with the graphic that looking right now, they have been going down and up, but more down than up. They were from around close to $60 in January 2018 to $13 now in 2020. They got a big hit for the pandemic and have not recovered yet. There are another company, for example, like Hair Global Holding, that according with this graphic, they went for around close to $80 in September 2016, and now the stock cost is only $1 because they went to bankruptcy, and I'm more than sure they are going to disappear from the market sooner than later. So you have to be very careful. No, don't buy a stock because you like the company. You have to make a research to the company before investing. But if you have a lot of time before retirement, you can do a lot of things. But if you are close to retirement, then you shouldn't risk your money because you don't have the time to wait for 5, 6, 7 years to see the return. So you should consider CDs. What is CDs? CDs are a certificate of deposit. It's a time deposit, a financial product commonly sold by banks, a thrift institution, and credit union. CDs differ from saving account in that the CD has a specific fixed term, often 1 year, 3 years, or 6 months, or up to 5 years, and usually a fixed interest rate. The bank expects CD to be held until maturity, at that time you can withdraw and not only the principal but also the interest rate. A larger principal may receive a higher interest rate. If you are investing in the CD $100,000, then the rate will be up. But if you are investing a lot of money, then little money not, because they have some certain amount of money that you have to invest, a minimum limit that we will see later. Some feature of the CDR, personal CD account generally receive higher interest rate than business CD accounts. A bank and credit union that are not insured by the FDIC or NCUA generally offer higher interest rate, but also you have more risk. If you are going to, for example, you have a $3,000 in ACDs, they are giving you maybe 1% per year in the interest rate, and you want to close it 6 months after opening the account. Be very careful, because if you close your account before maturity, then you are going to be penalized for the bank and you are going to lose some money. So be very careful for that. Now I'm looking at a graphic that I found out in the internet. What is the interest rate that some banks are paying right now? For a 1 year CD rates, I see that one bank is giving you 1.02% per year with a minimum of $500. Another bank is giving less than 1%, 0.95, and with a minimum limit of 1,000. Another Salimai bank is giving you 95%, but with a minimum of $2,500. I received yesterday something in my email that my bank was offering me to put the money in my saving account in ACD, but they were giving me only a quarter of a point, 0.25%, and you have to commit at least for 9 months to have the money in the CD. So if you think that is worth it, it's okay. It's not, don't do it. But if you are close to retirement, you should consider something like this, because you are not going to lose money, and also you know when you are going to receive your money back, also the money that your money make when in the CD. Let us talk a little bit now about Southern Union Revolving Fund. Southern Union Revolving Fund is like a bank. It's like a bank that is in the union, that is in Atlanta. But remember, this is only for 7-day Adventist member. Has to be done when you are a member of one of the churches of the Southern Union Conference. You can be a member of Florida Conference, you can be a member of Southeastern Conference, you can be a member of the A Conference of the Southern Union, and then you can contribute to this account. When you save money in revolving fund, you assist other congregation in building or buying a church, and you earn a return on your investment. The revolving fund then made fund available to churches, schools, and certain other conference institutions at a lower rate of interest. They are paying a great rate back? No, but they are paying more most of the time that ACD can give you back. But not only you are receiving some income back, but also you are building churches and a school where the name of the Lord is worshipped. So you are contributing to the extension of the kingdom of God without losing money. Is not that marvelous? So how can I participate? To open an account as an individual, you have to deposit a minimum of $1,000 through the conference institution. So you can call our conference phone number, and you can ask for the stewardship department, and you can tell me or to my secretary that you want to open an account. So we will give you an account number. Then we will send you a form that you have to fill out. You send that back to us. We see that you are a member of our conference, and then we will send the check that you send to us together with the form to the union, and then the account is set out. Account must keep a minimum balance of $1,000. If a withdrawal request come in that bring a balance below $1,000, the account will be closed. So you have to have in mind. For example, if you invest $1,500 but you want $1,000 back, then you have to take the $1,500 back, because you can't have a balance of less than $1,000. If you close an account, the note said that you can't open a new account until 90 days later. So have that in mind. So may I withdraw my fund? Yes, you can withdraw your fund when you want, with no penalty. That is the difference between ACD and a SURF account. In SURF account, it's like a saving account. A portion or all my may be withdrawn at any time without penalty. However, please consider this to be a long-term investment. Why? Because the money that you put in this revolving fund is lent to churches, and churches get enough for 20 years. So you need the money early, take it out, but consider that if you want to help churches, you should keep the money in the fund for a longer period of time. In most cases, the people administrating the account said, we can mail the check the same week that you request the fund, when you are requesting fund back. If your request is over 100,000, so please let us know at least 2 weeks before, because this is a big amount that they have to be prepared to send it your money back. When they send your money back, also they will send the interest rate that your money make in the period that you have the money in the account. How is SURF calculated? Currently, and this note was taken out 2 days ago, the interest that your money is going to earn is 1.25. What happened? And you know that for the pandemic, the market is down, the interests are down, and that depends how the market is moving. So now you can receive 1.25, but remember, most banks are giving you only 0.95, less than 1%, and then you have a penalty. You take your money out. You can put your money here, and it's like a saving account. You can take it back wherever you want, or you need it. You should consider having a longer time, but you can take it back when you need it without penalty. So this is a better option, and also you will be building churches and building a school for the glory of God. Interest is compound monthly. Interest is calculated using a 366 day or years. The years, that is, if the year have 365 or 366 days that year. If you have invested over $10,000 in SURF, also you can may choose to request a quarterly withdrawal check. So the interest that your money is making, they can send it to you quarterly. So that is another extra thing that you can have. SURF Are my funds needed? Yes, your funds are needed. Thanks to your investment, churches and schools in your local conference can grow. The revolving fund can only lend funds to churches and schools if they are investment by the constituent of the local conference. So if our constituent in our conference don't invest in the revolving fund, then they can lend money to us. And the money that they lend to build our churches are cheaper than the money that you can find out when you are shopping outside in commercial loans in different banks. And remember, when you are investing in Surf, you are investing in your treasure. You are transferring your treasure to heaven. This world of transferring your possession to the world above is worthy of all your best energy. It is of the highest importance and involve your eternal interest. That which you bestow in the cause of God is not lost. All that is given for the salvation of souls and the glory of God is invested in the most successful enterprise in this life and in the life to come. What a marvelous thing, investing in the cause of God. You're not going to lose it. Not only, for example, all the money that you have when you die in this world, you can use it. But when you put the money in the bank of heaven, you are not going to lose it. It will be forever earning that you will have. Wherever your treasure is, also your heart will be. Jesus is soon to come. He's coming soon. And we should be prepared to receive him and to be in glory not only with him, but with all the people that for our means they are going to know the gospel and will be saved. God bless you, my brothers and sisters. See you soon. It's not here. And that is a very good news. We'll be with Jesus in heaven without pandemic, without pain, and forever and ever. God bless you.
Get ready. Something big is happening on November 7th, 2020, and you don't want to miss it. The Southeastern Conference Women's Ministries Department is celebrating its 30th anniversary. The theme is 30 years of excellent service. The best is yet to come. And the keynote speaker for this grand occasion is none other than Chaplain Linda Pennick, founder of Living the Divine Purpose Ministries. Join us online for a full day of interactive programming with powerful preaching, great music, special tributes, and so much more. In the afternoon, gospel recording artist Miranda Curtis will be live in concert, followed by an anniversary reception and celebratory toast. Registration opens September 8, 2020 to receive your personalized 30th anniversary gift box while supplies last for a donation of just $30. For more details, visit www.secsda.org or www.facebook.com/secwomen. We want to share this celebration with you, so mark your calendars now.